Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I am your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. You can follow the show on Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod. You can email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. If you would like to support the show, you can at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. Folks, it has been a busy time for me. I'm trying to get ahead, and it's difficult. I'll say that. I went this past weekend on Friday. I had to work late. We had a little presentation that I had to go to at work, and so when I got off, I didn't feel like cooking. I didn't know what I wanted, so I ordered a protein bowl, a steak and cheese protein bowl from Subway, and one of those little churro things that they have now. And I ordered it on a mobile order, paid for it. I go to pick it up, and the guy's like, "What name is the order under?" And I'm like, "It's like Joseph or Joey, one of those two." I had left my phone in my truck. And I said, "I can go get it if you want to." This guy starts yelling at me that some other woman had come and tried to pick my food up. And he wouldn't give it to her because she didn't know the name. And so I'm like, "Why are you yelling at me? I didn't do it. I didn't send her." And he just kept saying it over and over again. I'm like, "I don't understand what you were talking about. That is mine. Again, I can go get the receipt. I can go get my phone." I just left my phone in the truck because I thought quick in and out. And I'm like, "I'm sorry that happened to you, but it had nothing to do with me." But anyway, today we look at SummerSlam 1993 from the WWF. SummerSlam 93 was shown on pay-per-view on August the 30th, 1993 from the Palace of Auburn Hills in Auburn Hills, Michigan. There were 23,954 in attendance, and the pay-per-view did 250,000 buys. In a dark match, Owen Hart defeated Barry Horowitz. The Lex Express is shown arriving at the Palace. We then get our intro. Vince McMahon and Bobby Heenan welcome us to SummerSlam and run down what we're going to see. Ted DiBiase versus Razor Ramon. Ted's last WWF match as a wrestler. Fans are behind new fan favorite Ramon. DiBiase attacks Ramon as soon as he gets in the ring. He gets Ramon into a corner. Ramon comes back with a backdrop. He hits some shots to DiBiase, who rolls out to regroup. They lock up back in the ring, back and forth. Ramon clotheslines DiBiase back outside. Ramon then slingshots DiBiase back in from the apron. Heenan says, "They say money can't buy happiness. Give me $50 and watch me smile." I thought that was the funniest line when I first heard it and quoted it non-stop to people. DiBiase begs off only to choke Ramon on the rope when Ramon gets close. DiBiase with an Irish whip and a back elbow. Modified backbreaker gets a 2 count for DiBiase. DiBiase with a clothesline for a 2 count. DiBiase with a chin lock. He turns it into a choke. Ramon fading as a Razor chant goes out. Ramon coming back. DiBiase with a knee to the gut. DiBiase with a neck breaker. DiBiase with a suplex. He goes for the $1 Million Dream, but Ramon blocks it. Back and forth. Both men down. Ramon ran into the turnbuckle and falls outside. DiBiase takes the turnbuckle pad off. Ramon reverses DiBiase into the exposed buckle and hits the Razor's edge to get the pin. Todd Pettengill talks to the mom and sister of the Steiner brothers. They get interrupted by Jim Cornette, who introduces the Heavenly Bodies. WWF Tag Team Championship match. The Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott, versus the Heavenly Bodies, Tom Pritchard and Jimmy Del Rey with Jim Cornette. Steiners get a fantastic ovation, with this being where they are from. Cornette is wearing a neck brace to sell what Bob Armstrong has been doing to him in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Heavenly Bodies attack the Steiner brothers as soon as the Steiners get in the ring. They hit a double backdrop on Rick. Scott rescues his brother. The Steiners turn the tables. The crowd cheers wildly. The Bodies roll out to regroup with Cornette. Pritchard and Scott start. Scott with a press slam. Rick tagged in. Pritchard with a side headlock. Rick with a pair of clotheslines. The bodies out to regroup again. Scott tagged in. Inverted atomic drop to the heavenly bodies. The bodies double-team Scott to regain the advantage. Pritchard with an enziguri. Scott thrown outside and Del Rey hits him with a cannonball from the apron. Scott thrown back in. Del Rey in and hits a top rope double axe handle. Back and forth. Del Rey with a DDT and a drop toe hold. Pritchard in and chokes Scott. Back and forth. Del Rey tagged in and drops a knee. He gets a 2 count. Bodies quick tagging. Pritchard choking Scott on the ropes. Cornette hits Scott with the racket. Rick goaded in. Scott counters a Del Rey DDT attempt with a belly-to-belly suplex. Pritchard tagged in and cut Scott off from tagging Rick in. Scott with a double-arm powerbomb. Del Rey and Rick tagged in. Rick cleans house with Steiner lines. Top rope bulldog to Del Rey. Pritchard breaks up the count. All 4 men in, and in the confusion, Rick power slams Del Rey, and Cornette climbs up on the apron and throws the racket to Pritchard, who hits Rick from behind with it. Del Rey gets a 2 count. Pritchard holds Rick for Del Rey to moonsault onto. Rick moves and Pritchard gets hit instead. Scott hits the Frankensteiner on Del Rey, and Rick pins Del Rey. The crowd goes wild. Joe Fowler interviews Shawn Michaels, who has Diesel with him. He says he will prove he is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. WWF Intercontinental Championship match. Shawn Michaels with Diesel versus Mr. Perfect. Michaels out first despite being the champion. Michaels appears to be out of shape. Perfect gets a great reaction. The bell rings and they circle each other. Perfect with a hammerlock and a snapmare to Michaels. Michaels with a side headlock. Perfect tries to push off, but Michaels holds on. They trade holds and counters. Perfect with a hammerlock to Michaels on the mat, and Perfect drops a couple of knees. Michaels back to his feet. They trade holds. They circle each other again. They lock up and vie for position. They trade chops. Perfect with a clothesline for a 2 count. Perfect with an armbar. Michaels gets to the corner to break. Perfect misses a corner charge when Michaels moves. Michaels up top, but Perfect counters a clothesline attempt with an arm drag. Back to the armbar. Perfect gets a 2 count. Perfect cranks the armbar on. Perfect counters a dropkick attempt by catapulting Michaels into the outside. Perfect comes out and Diesel distracts him so Michaels can hit Perfect with a super kick. Michaels with a double axe handle to Perfect from the apron. Back in, Michaels keeps up the assault. Michaels working on the lower back. Michaels with a corner whip. Michaels with shots to the back. Another corner whip to Perfect. Michaels slams down on Perfect's back. Michaels with a backbreaker on Perfect. Perfect fighting to get out of the hold. Perfect with right hands. Perfect with a big drop kick and a backdrop. He follows it up with a knee lift for a 2 count. Perfect with some chops and a right hand for a 2 count. They vie to get a backslide. Michaels flips over and Perfect gets the Perfect plex. Diesel grabs Perfect's leg and pulls Perfect out. Perfect attacks Diesel. Perfect also attacks Michaels when he comes out. Diesel runs Perfect into the ring steps. Perfect gets counted out. Perfect attacks Michaels and Diesel after the match. Diesel knocks Perfect out. Michaels and Diesel then leave. Todd Pettengill interviews Michaels and Diesel in the aisle. Michaels blows Pettengill off and Perfect takes off after Michaels. Joe Fowler interviews the 1-2-3 Kid. Kid says he is nervous to take on IRS. The 1-2-3 Kid versus IRS. IRS does his tax cheat bit. Kid gets a respectable ovation. The bell rings and they circle each other. IRS with some shoulder blocks. Kid gets IRS down and gets a 1 count. They circle each other again. IRS gets the advantage. Kid comes back with a drop kick for a 2 count. IRS throws the Kid out of the ring. He keeps the Kid from getting back in. Kid gets back in and gets a roll up for a 2 count. IRS drops an elbow for a 2 count. IRS with an abdominal stretch while hanging on the ropes. He stops when the referee goes to check. IRS with a snapmare and a chin lock. The crowd chants 1, 2, 3. Kid runs IRS into the buckle. Kid with a moonsault for a 2 count. Kid with a series of 2 counts. IRS with a flying clothesline to get the pin. Todd Pettengill interviews Bruce and Owen Hart. Make it 3 SummerSlams in a row for the Hart family to get interviewed. They say Stu Hart had surgery and is at home recovering. Bret Hart is announced and comes out. He is extremely over with the crowd. Bret does his sunglasses presentation. Jerry Lawler comes out on crutches with an ice pack on his left leg. Pettengill interviews Lawler. He says he was in an accident and can't wrestle. He then said he has a substitute to wrestle and brings out Doink. Bret Hart versus Doink. Doink throws confetti on some fans and water on Bruce Hart. Bret grabs Doink and throws him into the ring as officials keep Bruce away. Bret clotheslines Doink outside. Bret follows and unloads on Doink. Back in, Doink begs off. Bret beating Doink down. Bret with a corner whip. He dumps Doink back out of the ring. Doink goes up top, but gets caught and slammed down to the mat. Back and forth. Bret takes off after Lawler, and Doink attacks him from behind. Doink with a double axe handle from the top rope. They exchange shots. Doink slams Bret's leg against the post. He gets a 1 count. Doink with a modified STF. A Go Bret Go chant goes out. Bret up and Doink hits him with a knee to the stomach for a 2 count. Doink with the stump puller. He holds the ropes and gets caught. Doink comes off the top rope, but Bret gets his knees up. Bret with a side Russian leg sweep. Elbow from the second rope, and then the sharpshooter on Doink. Lawler comes in and nails Bret with the crutch. Officials keeping Bruce and Owen from getting into the ring. Lawler attacking Bret with the crutch. Lawler helps Doink to the back. Jack Tunney comes out and forces Lawler to go to the ring. Tunney tells Howard Finkel to announce that if Jerry Lawler doesn't come back to wrestle Bret, he will be banned for life. Bret Hart versus Jerry Lawler. Bret beating Lawler into the ring. He bites Lawler in the corner. He hits Lawler with a leg drop. Lawler climbs out and Bret follows and attacks Lawler from behind. Lawler attacks Bret with the broken crutch. He goes over and hits Bruce before going back to attacking Bret with the crutch. He pokes Bret in the corner. He hits Bret in the throat with the crutch. He beats Bret down in the corner. Bret comes back with a mule kick. He then takes a page out of Lawler's book and pulls the straps of his singlet down. Bret beating Lawler down in the corner. Bret with a backbreaker for a 2 count. Bret with a pile driver and an elbow drop from the second rope. Bret gets the sharpshooter on. Lawler gives up, but Bret won't let go. The bell rings repeatedly, but they can't get Bret to let go. Referee Bill Alfonso reverses the decision and Lawler wins. Bret attacks Lawler and officials separate the two men. Bruce attacks Lawler on the stretcher that was brought out for Lawler. Lawler is taken to the back, and Owen and Bruce raise Bret's hand. Ludwig Borga with a pre-recorded video outside to put down Lex Luger and America. Ludwig Borga versus Marty Jannetty. Jannetty with a good reaction when he comes out. Borga with hardly no reaction beyond a few boos. Borga attacks Jannetty as soon as he gets in the ring. He beats Jannetty down. He attacks Jannetty with knees to the ribs. He throws Jannetty up and punches him on the way down. He continues to beat Jannetty. Jannetty tries to come back with kicks. Borga with forearms, back and forth. Borga with a clothesline and a headbutt. Jannetty tries to come back with a sunset flip, but Borga punches him in the face. Borga with a bear hug. Jannetty tries to fight out and does get out, only to get hit with a big clothesline. Jannetty with some offense. He hits a super kick to Borga. Then another one, and Jannetty goes back to the second rope. Borga catches Jannetty and slams him down. He puts Jannetty up in the torture rack, and Jannetty gives up. We get a Survivor Series ad. A rest in peace match. The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez with Harvey Whippleman. No disqualification, no count out. Whippleman and Gonzalez out first, and Whippleman has the Undertaker's urn. The crowd goes crazy when the Undertaker comes out. He takes his time getting to the ring. The bell rings, and Undertaker attacks Gonzalez in the corner with throat thrust and then chokes Gonzalez. Whippleman gets up on the apron. This distracts Undertaker, and Gonzalez attacks Undertaker. Back and forth. Gonzalez shoves Undertaker down, but he gets up again. It goes outside, and Gonzalez runs Undertaker into the ring steps, and then Gonzalez grabs a chair. He hits Undertaker. He corner whips Undertaker into the ring steps again. Undertaker gets back into the ring, but Gonzalez attacks him immediately. Undertaker keeps going after the urn, and Whippleman keeps taking it away. Gonzalez beating Undertaker down in the center of the ring when the Undertaker's gong goes off again and Paul Bearer comes out. He is carrying a black rest in peace wreath to ringside. He placed the wreath at ringside. Whippleman goes to attack Bearer, who knocks Whippleman out. I tell you what, there are some tongue twisters in this match. Bearer gets the urn. Gonzalez scoop slams Undertaker and starts to go after Bearer. Undertaker sits up and attacks Gonzalez. Undertaker with a series of clotheslines to get Gonzalez down. Undertaker with a flying clothesline to pin Gonzalez. Undertaker and Bearer then leave. Gonzalez attacks Whippleman and choke slams him. Joe Fowler talks to Yokozuna, Mr. Fuji, and Jim Cornette. Cornette says the heavenly bodies were ripped off. He then says Lex Luger has no chance against Yokozuna. He says the time has come. 6-man tag team match. The Smoking Guns, Billy and Bart, and Tatanka versus the Head Shrinkers Samu and Fatu, and Bam Bam Bigelow with Alpha and Luna Vachon. All 6 start brawling when the bell rings. Bigelow and Tatanka start. Bigelow with the early advantage. Tatanka with a comeback. He hits a backdrop. Back and forth. Double crossbody and both men down. Billy and Fatu both tagged in. They trade holds. Billy with the top rope bulldog. Samu tagged in. Billy guillotined on the top rope. Billy thrown outside and Alpha attacks him. Bart tagged in. A body press gets a 2 count for Bart. Samu with a back elbow. Samu slams Bart head first into the mat. Bigelow tagged in. He gets a drop kick after a 2 count. Fatu tagged in and gets a 2 count after a power slam. Fatu bites Bart. Heels frequent tagging. Bigelow in and runs Bart into the Head Shrinkers' heads. Fatu in and slams Bart. Heels triple teaming Bart. Samu in and Bart collapses after taking a beating. Bigelow in and a double back elbow to Bart. Bigelow misses a corner charge and hits the post when Bart moves. Tatanka tagged in and cleans house. Tatanka with a series of chops to get Bigelow down. Tatanka goes up top and hits a crossbody for a close 2 count. Back and forth. Bigelow with an enziguri. Samu in and hits a falling headbutt, but the Smoking Guns break up the pin attempt. All 6 men going at it. Bigelow splashes Tatanka in the corner, and the heels hit a triple headbutt. All 3 go up to hit a triple diving headbutt. They miss when Tatanka moves. Fatu and Bigelow out with the guns, and Tatanka rolls up Samu to get the pin. Joe Fowler interviews Hank, the man who drove the Lex Express bus. Hank says Lex Luger is a genuine person. He puts over Luger. Todd Pettengill interviews people in the crowd as a USA chant goes out. They have someone sing the Japanese national anthem. The crowd is not impressed. Howard Finkel introduces Randy Savage as the MC for the main event. He comes out with Aaron Neville, who is waving the U.S. flag. Savage introduces Neville to sing the national anthem, and he does a great job. WWF Championship match. Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette versus Lex Luger. Yoko and company out first. Yokozuna presented with flowers and does the salt ceremony. Savage then announces Lex Luger, who gets a tremendous reaction when he comes out. The bell rings and they are face to face. Luger says something to Yokozuna, but you can't tell what it is. Fuji sneaks up on the apron behind Luger. He distracts Luger so Yoko can attack. Luger gets the better of the exchange and attacks Yokozuna. Luger with a back elbow. Yoko with an elbow of his own, but he misses a leg drop. Yoko goes to leave, but Luger kicks the ropes to knock Yoko down. Luger with an elbow drop. He gets a 2 count. Yokozuna with a slam, but misses an elbow. Luger with shots to Yokozuna in the corner. A USA chant goes out. Luger with a corner whip and a clothesline. He does some corner-mounted punches. Yokozuna comes back with chops and chokes Luger down in the corner. Fuji tries to hit Luger with powder, but Luger deflects it. Luger trying to knock Yoko down. Yoko knocks Luger down instead. Yoko headbutts Luger to the outside. Luger tries to get on the apron, only to get knocked out again. Yoko follows and chokes Luger. He slaps Luger and then splashes Luger up against the post. Yoko grabs a chair and swings it, but Luger ducks and attacks Yokozuna. He rolls Yoko back in. Double axe handle to Yokozuna from the second rope. Luger goes up top and hits another axe handle. A forearm from the top rope finally knocks Yokozuna down. Luger gets a 2 count. Luger with another forearm for a 2 count. Double clothesline and both men down. A double count going. Cornette up on the apron to distract referee Earl Hebner while Fuji throws the salt bucket to Yokozuna. Yoko nails Luger with the bucket. Yokozuna falls down exhausted but crawls over to Luger and covers, but Luger kicks out. Yoko chops Luger. Luger trying to come back. Yokozuna with a belly-to-belly suplex for a 2 count. Yokozuna chokes Luger on the second rope. He then rakes Luger's eyes. Yokozuna with a side suplex for another 2 count. Yokozuna with a snapmare and a nerve hold. Luger trying to fight back. Luger breaks the hold and tries to slam Yokozuna, but Yoko falls on Luger for a 2 count. Yokozuna with a leg drop for another 2 count. Yokozuna drags Luger to the corner and goes for the bonsai drop, but Luger moves out of the way. Yokozuna runs Luger into a turnbuckle. Back and forth, Yokozuna chops Luger in the corner. He misses a corner charge and Luger slams Yokozuna. Fuji up on the apron and Luger knocks him out. Luger pulls the forearm pad down and knocks Yokozuna out of the ring. Yokozuna gets counted out. Luger wins the match, but Yokozuna retains the title. The Steiner brothers, Tatanka and Randy Savage come in and they celebrate. Why? What are they celebrating? This is dumb. Confetti falls, they put Luger on their shoulders. Poor Luger never had a chance. Balloons fall, it's a whole thing. We then get a Luger celebration video, and Yokozuna is still out. They go to Joe Fowler and Lex Luger's dressing room. They get interrupted by Ludwig Borga. He says he's not impressed, and if Luger ever steps in the ring with Borga, Borga will crush Luger. They sign off from SummerSlam. Final thoughts. A pretty good show with an awful main event. Luger never recovered from this in the WWF. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHairs. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.